what we did to align our validation framework with the CSA principles. Again, we did have to update our validation procedures to align with those concepts. So, looking at how we were assessing risk with our requirements. So we did update our requirement risk assessment approach. We moved from an FMEA, that traditional risk assessment approach to the CSA concept, where we are focusing on the potential of the requirement to impact patient health and safety and product quality. So it's just a similar concept, but a different way of looking at the risk. We introduced both the unscripted, we introduced the unscripted test approach in addition to then the traditional scripted test approach. So ensuring that we're really focusing the scripted testing on those higher areas of risk, on those areas that are most likely to or could potentially impact patient health and safety, have that higher risk, and then leaning into the unscripted testing for those areas of moderate risk or low risk, and even leveraging our vendor documentation more thoroughly, assuming that the vendor, of course, has an adequate quality management system. We configured our test management tool to align with the CSA principles. And to be honest, that's a little bit of a phased approach too. We're having to phase that in. We've gone through a couple configuration changes there, but some updates were needed in our test management tool. Going back to that idea of leaning into the vendor documentation for some of the testing for low areas of risk, we did need to update our validation processes to allow for that. So if we have a qualified GXP vendor and we have requirements that pose low risk, updating the procedures to allow for leveraging that vendor documentation. We created educational videos and quick reference cards to help increase understanding of primarily the scripted and unscripted testing and the new requirement risk approach in the context of CSA principles. But we also looked at a broad range of topics as part of educational videos to help the organization get reinforcement of key concepts in the validation processes. We updated our templates to include instructions and examples in an effort to make them more consumable and increase consistency in execution or implementation of those templates. So things like validation plans, validation plans and reports, unscripted and scripted test case templates, system descriptions, things of that nature. We did take a two-phase approach to our journey, our project. So in the course of those two phases, we created or updated a little over 30 validation-related procedure documents that made up our framework. We implemented 21 educational videos. We included 8 training presentations and 1 executive presentation to keep our senior leadership updated.